Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing a recap of the Singapore Squash Open 2023 that finished a couple of days ago. This is a follow-up video to the preview I did of this tournament where we looked at the draw as well as who I thought was going to win and all the potential results that could happen. So we can look at which predictions I got right and which I got wrong and maybe why in this video. So we're just going to start off getting into it in round one. So we had Marcus Foy, the wild card from Singapore, up against David. I'm not going to be able to pronounce his last name, as you will have found out in the last video. The Canadian. And as predicted, David did win, or David, again, not sure. David did win, comfortable 3-love, as you would expect in that match against the wild card. But yeah, not much else to say about that one. Then we had Yao against Farkas, and to be fair, Farkas put up a bit of a fight. It's a relatively close first two games, but then the quality showed in the third, and the damage had been done with an 11-4 to close it out for Yao. And these guys all had buys. Okay, then we had Henry Leung against Sebastian Bonmele. As I predicted, I thought Bonmele would win that. As his world ranking is slightly higher and I've seen more from him over the last few years. So that wasn't too unexpected either. A lot of these first rounds are going to be quite, well, I'd say relatively easy to predict because usually the ranking difference is quite big. And then you got what I thought was going to be the match of the first round, which was Youssef Ibrahim against Siquan Lau, or Alex Lau, as some people will know him as. The reason I thought this would be a great match is because they both play quite exciting squash, and Lau has had some good results recently and pushed some of the top players quite close. And by the look of the score, I feel like it had the potential to go a lot closer than a 3-love. With a 12-10 in the first game and a 14-12 in the third, I feel like just one of those goes Lau's way, and suddenly you've got a match on your hands, and it could be a real battle between the two. Now, it didn't end up doing that. I guess the quality of Youssef Ibrahim showed through and meant that it was a 3-love. So maybe I was wrong with that prediction that it would be the match of the first round. But then at the same time, there aren't many other ones that could top it. There are some 3-1s coming up, but there wasn't really an obvious match that was the best match of the first round. And I did predict Youssef to win, so I guess I was right in one way. So then we've got Todd Harity against Saurav Gosal, or Saurav. And Saurav won 3-1. So Todd showing that he is capable. As I said, he's definitely a decent player, but as predicted, Gosal went through. Then we had Leonardo Romiglio from Argentina, I believe, if I remember correctly, against Lucas Sam, the Frenchman. And that was one-way traffic, really. Now, the prediction was for Romiglio to win, given that his ranking is a decent amount higher and his results recently have been good. I didn't expect it to be by this much, though. But maybe something was going on with Sam. I didn't watch that one specifically. But I have seen some results of Sam where he maybe goes down a little bit too easily and could dig a bit deeper and fight for it a bit more. But then we don't know what's going on there, so I can't comment too much on that. He could have been injured, he could have been ill, I don't know. But I don't want to take away from Romiglio's result because that's a great win from him. Then we've got Curtis Malik against Karim El Hamami. Which Curtis won, going along with the upset and my prediction, which was Curtis to win. Now, Curtis has obviously, as I said in the previous video, come off some big wins, and I thought that would translate to this match and allow him to get the upset, which is exactly what happened. From his feedback was, he told me that the conditions were tough. It was humid on there, and it was a real battle that he enjoyed, but he said it was quite painful. But yeah, he did a great job coming through that. 3-1. Okay, next we had Ramit Tandon beating Rory Stewart 3-love. 2 close games in the second and third, 12-10, 12-10. But after the preview video I made a couple of weeks ago, Ramit Tandon, like the day after I released that, actually beat Victor Crouin. And if I'd have known that, I'd have been more confident in my Tandon win prediction. I did still predict him to win in my last video, but I said that it would be close. I didn't think it would be that convincing, but after him beating Crouin, I would have been a bit more confident. Now it turns out it actually was a close 3-love, so I wasn't too far off, but it was a 3-love. But that's it for the first round, so let's look at the second rounds and see what results we had there. So, Ali Farag played David and won 3-love. Now, there's not much to say about that because it's Ali Farag. There's no point in breaking that down too much. I mean, David did a good job to get 9 points in the first game, but it's Ali's first match of the tournament. He's feeling the court, he's getting to know the bounce and playing his way in to get comfortable for the rest of the tournament, so you can't look too much at that. Then we've got Yao against Solomon. Now this one I predicted Solomon to win based on his recent form, and Yao not coming through in the way that I'd hoped for the last 6 months or so. And I was right. It was a 3-1 win to Solomon. It's about what I'd expect. Yao winning the first close game, Solomon taking a close second, and then coming through quite comfortably in the third and fourth. So that's not too far off what I predicted there. Then we had Marwan El-Shorbagy against Sebastian Bonmele. Now, very sadly, Bonmele did injure himself quite badly, I believe. I'm not sure if it was a hamstring injury or something like that, but it wasn't a great injury to get. So sadly, despite winning a first game and having 2 close games after that, he went down to Marwan. But as we'll find out later, Marwan was playing well, so nothing to be ashamed of. So then we have Youssef Ibrahim against Mohamed El-Shorbagy. That was what I picked to be the match of the second round, given the history between these two. Short history, but a lot of high pace, exciting matches. And it appears that we got another one of them in a way. Now, I did watch this match, although I only caught it after the first game. So I didn't get to watch the first game, which was 13-11 to Youssef. But overall, Mohamed did come through in 5. And the 5th game was actually pretty one-sided from Mohamed. Youssef actually fought back really well in the 4th game after he was something like 9-7 down and came back to win 11-9. There were some interesting decisions, and Youssef kind of got a bit wound up by it, but then actually played better squash, played really attacking squash. Looked like he was trying to prove a point, and he got that, but then Shorbagy was a bit too good in that 5th game. So maybe that lives up, yeah, it probably does live up to the title of the match of the second round. So happy with that prediction. And I did predict Mohamed to win. So our success rate currently, I believe, is 100%. Currently. Then we have Mustafa Asal against Sourav Gosor. About what you'd expect. Sourav put up a fight in the 3rd game, but again, it's Asal's first match of the tournament. You can't look too much into it. He's got through it in 3. It's a good job against a dangerous Gosor. Remiglio against Paul Cole. I've said many times on this channel, the person I would least want to come up against in a tournament is Paul Cole, if I was a lower ranked player, because he's not going to give you much. And that appears to be very true here, as Paul Cole dispatches Remiglio in 3 games. Looks comfortable. I didn't watch that match, but the scores speak for themselves. Then we had Faraz Dazuki against Curtis Malek. Now, I did watch this match, and it's 3-1 to Dazuki. So Curtis really did do a good job to get a game there. Got the 3rd game. It looked like Dazuki's pace in that 4th game was just a bit too much for Curtis, which is exactly what you'd expect, because Dazuki is such a good player, and yes, his ranking isn't as high as it has been in the past, but he is capable of beating the top players in the world, and has proven it in the past. and the way he hits that ball is unbelievable. It just goes like a laser. He's just so... I mean, I think it's the way how he uses his quick, explosive movement to attack. The people that Curtis is used to playing are... They're quick, yes, like I'm talking like just inside the top 50 in the world. They're quick players, but they normally use their speed to retrieve and defend. Whereas these top players, yes, they do that, but they also use their speed to burst onto balls and attack and be explosive in that way, and that's how they open people up, and that's how they can dispatch lower ranked players. They overwhelm them with that speed onto the ball, as well as that ability to absorb pressure. And then the last match of the second round, Rambic Tandem against Diego Elias. Now that is a chop. That's a chop suey. Diego wasn't taking any prisoners here. I feel a little bit bad for Rambic Tandem here because Diego's one of those players similar. Well, he's not a similar player to Paul Cole, but similarly, I wouldn't want to play him, as I think I mentioned in the last video, because he has very smooth movement. Again, Ali Farag is in that vein as well, where it doesn't feel like you're doing any damage to him as a lower ranked player. I can imagine from what it looks like. He's able to soak up pressure really well and then flip it back on you. So that is the second round sorted. Again, 100% prediction rate on who's going to win. Now, spoiler alert, that doesn't stay. I don't get 100% for the whole tournament, but for now, it's all 100%. Let's go to the quarterfinals. Okay, Ali Farag dispatching Youssef Solomon in 3 games. Again, that's what I would have expected. That's what I predicted. Not much else to say there. Ali Farag's too good for Youssef Solomon right now. Now this is an interesting one. Marwan El-Shabagi beating his older brother Mohamed El-Shabagi 3-2. Now this I didn't expect, because Mohamed has won the last few times when they've played each other. They haven't played each other recently, but I really didn't expect Marwan to come out and win this. Now, I guess you could argue... No, you couldn't. Yeah, I was going to say you could argue that Mohamed had a tougher match the day before, but it wasn't the day before. They had a rest day in between, so it shouldn't have mattered. Shouldn't have mattered too much, at least, with their fitness levels. And Mohamed was 2-1 up. And he only lost the first game 12-10, so it could have been 3-love win. But Marwan dug deep. Again, I'm never convinced when they play each other with the focus levels, because I feel like they don't play the same way as they play against others. At least it doesn't look like that to me. And I feel like the same thing happened again. I did see some of this match, and I just feel like Mohamed doesn't always fire up as much as he can against some of the others. But fair play to Marwan. That's a great win for him. So, not 100% success rate anymore on my predictions, but that's okay. And again, another hit to my prediction. Mustafa Asal beat Paul Cole 3-1. Now, I did watch this match, and I'll be honest, after the second game, I thought Paul Cole would pull away and win. But, he got a few long rallies in there, which is what he's got to do against Mustafa. He got a few long rallies, got some rhythm, and started working him hard. But Mustafa Asal actually managed to make it into some bitty squash, so stop-start, that sort of rhythm. And Paul Cole found that really hard to deal with, that lack of rhythm that Asal created. And those short, sharp rallies played into Asal's hands, and after that, it was a 3-1 win to Asal. So, clever tactics from Mustafa Asal. And I think when Paul looks back at it, he'll be wishing that he was able to find a way to create a bit more rhythm for himself. But I know he and Rob Owen will definitely be looking at that for next time they play each other. And it'll be very interesting to see if there's a response from Paul. Okay, last one of the quarterfinals. We have Faraz Dazuki against Diego Elias. Now, this is what I predicted as well. With Faraz's recent form, Diego is just too consistent for him, and Faraz will just make too many mistakes. And that's exactly what's happened here. Like, Diego can soak up the pressure, work Dazuki hard by hitting good targets, stretching him out, and then Dazuki will start hitting tins and won't be able to keep up. And after a close first game, Faraz kind of fell off a little bit. The third game wasn't too far, but yeah, it's a comfortable 3-love for Elias. Now let's move on to the semi-finals. Ali Farag up against Marwan El Shabagi. Now that's another chop here. Ali Farag's absolutely chopped Marwan. Sadly for Marwan. But it's exactly what I'd expect. Marwan El Shabagi doesn't like it when the rallies are extended and someone is soaking up all the pressure he can put on. And Ali Farag does exactly that. Marwan's going to be looking for winners from the back of the service box area, attack with straight kills and boasts, and Ali Farag's just going to get all of them back, hit a good lob off of them, and or counter it, trickle boast, whatever it is, make Marwan have to make heavy movements into the front of the court, and by repeating that over and over again, Marwan's just going to run out of steam, and Ali's going to have, implemented his game plan in the way that he would want to. And he's done it to perfection here, really. And you could say, again, that Marwan might have been a bit tired after playing Mohammed, his brother, whereas Farag had an easy one. So that's a possibility. Although I'm not sure, was it the day after? It doesn't actually say which day that was on. I reckon that was the day after, because there wouldn't have been any matches otherwise, whereas for the other rounds there were matches on the days in between. So it probably was the day after. Unless they had the women's matches that day. But I'm not sure. Either way, Ali Farag got through to the final, which I'll hide the result there, even though you've seen it. And then we have, in the other semi-final, Mustafa Asal against Diego Elias. Now, I did watch this one as well. Diego Elias managed to come through against Mustafa Asal 3-1. Now, Diego's backhand boast in this game, in this match, was incredible. It would have made Borja Golan proud. I think it was this match where the backhand boast was going in really well. He was really making the court big from Asal. And after losing the first game, came back quite brilliantly in the second, third, fourth to win 3-1. Because after the first game, I was actually getting a bit worried. Because my prediction was for Diego to face Ali in the final. And yes, I thought Diego would be playing Paul Cole in this match. But he ended up playing Asal. So I was hoping Diego would win just to satisfy my prediction for the final. And he did come through. And yes, he was working the ball in really accurately, really nicely, hitting a nice length, getting Asal behind him, and then executing that short ball very clinically. And Asal just couldn't quite deal with it. Maybe next time it will be even closer, because as we know, Asal hasn't been playing many tournaments recently due to the ban, but he'll be ramping up with each tournament he plays, and the next one being Hong Kong. I think he's playing in it, which I will do a preview of soon. Final. As predicted in the preview, Ali Farag beats Diego Elias 3-1. Now, does it follow the same trend that we talked about in the previous video? Well, in a way, it doesn't quite follow the same trend. The trend before, for anyone that hasn't seen the previous video, if you haven't seen it, why not? Go and watch it. I'd very much appreciate that. But if you haven't watched it, the previous trend was Diego Elias would win the first game comfortably. Then Ali Farag would win the second game in a really close tiebreak, and then Ali Farag would chop him up in the next two. My reasoning for that kind of sequence of events is that Ali Farag is able to basically mentally dismantle Elias by beating him in a close fought second game, and then Elias would kind of fall apart after that. And the conclusion to that is Ali Farag is mentally stronger than Diego Elias, and that is why we'll win, why he'll win, because obviously Elias isn't. I mean, he's not far off him as a player. They're both unbelievable players. So the only thing really separating them is the mental side, which is a big deal. But that was the argument used. Now in this match, the first game quite comfortable to Diego, but actually Ali Farag wins the next game very comfortably, and then it's a close one in the third. So it doesn't quite follow the same pattern, but I think the conclusions we can draw from this is, I mean, it is pretty much confirmed that Ali Farag is good at coming from behind his opponent and making up a deficit to win a match. But it's also pretty convincing how strong Diego is in the first game. He comes out very quickly, comes out the blocks quickly, and in a way it reminds me of how Peter Barker used to win a lot of first games. You just get some players that are very good in the first game, and some that are particularly bad. I remember Adrian Grant always used to go 2-love down before winning 3-2. We know Gawad, for example, Kareem Abdul-Gawad. His first games in his history have been a bit shaky. Recently he's actually not bad in them, but historically he's not been great. I mean, the issue with this, though, I'm just thinking, he has lost to Assal in the first game and then won all the others. But there weren't really any others in this tournament where he was pushed too hard. So, yes, the sample size is not the largest. It's more Diego's first game against Ali Farag specifically ends up being quite good. And he typically wins them. But, yeah, maybe it's more of a specific Farag matchup characteristic rather than an overall trend. But that's the conclusion, and the next tournament we'll be looking at will be the Hong Kong Open coming up soon. That's a platinum event, so that's one of the big boy ones, and I'll be making a preview on that over the coming days, so we can look at the draw and see what predictions we have, and we can use what we know from this Singapore Squash Open 2023 to influence what the predictions will be, and hopefully we have a really good tournament. Let me just have a look. If we look here, we've got the Hong Kong Football Club Open first. That will serve as a fantastic warm-up for those players for the Hong Kong Squash Open, where we have we're not looking at that, that's a teaser, can't ruin it for next video, but it starts in about a week, so stay tuned, and I'll come out with more information soon with a nice preview video looking at all of that, making predictions, and hopefully I can get a 100% prediction rate for the next tournament, even if I failed by 2 matches this time. So thanks for watching, and see you next time. Please like and subscribe to the Josh Attwell Sports YouTube channel for more content like this. I really appreciate it. It really allows me to make more content and motivates me to make the videos that you guys want to see. So thank you for your support, and see you next time. Bye.